So today we'll be reacting to dreamASSGuy asking, is PlayStation games coming to Xbox? Which, yeah, it most likely is. By the way, it probably is, and I'm actually more than okay with that. Funny enough, yeah, I don't really care that people are forced to play on another piece of plastic or whatever. Like, I don't really get excited for that. Like, what does that do for that platform, right? Like, say if I was a PlayStation fan, I would want like Sony to lower the price of the PSN or not have any requirement to purchase PSN actually in order to access my games online. Before I want games only playable on my PlayStation. So all you PlayStation fanboys, including dreamASSGuy here, who think that Sony is better off keeping games on PlayStation, you're a fake fan, you're a fraud, shut the fuck up. But now we're in with dreamASSGuy over here, asking with this molted squirrel face over here, whether or not PlayStation wants to put their games on other platforms. So if you guys haven't heard, Sony has released some listings on making other games, or maybe porting their games onto other platforms such as Nintendo, Steam, and Xbox essentially. And and the fanboys were losing it. They were losing it. So let's see how dreamASSGuy copes with this, shall we? And I put on 1.5 speed, by the way.
And today we're talking about that post that has very much pissed off the entire internet, which is the fact that last night's PlayStation said something very, very strange. PlayStation officially said that the future of PlayStation isn't necessarily just playing games on your PS5, your PS6. It's actually about more than that. They said we're building a dedicated team to take the very best PlayStation experiences and put them
and do you know why they're doing that, by the way? Because Sony is scared. They know that their PS6 is not going to do as well as their PS5, and their PS5, at least comparatively, didn't really do that well compared to the PS4. Like, the PS4 got a lot of new people onto their platform. The PS5, lost people. Can we just be honest? The PS5 actually lost more people compared to what the PS4 gained. Like, they lost people to the PC, really. I would say, at least, right? Because I was wanting a 9th generation console. And I have the PS5, I have the Series X, and obviously I have a Switch, but that's not a 9th generation. Well, it is a 9th generation portable, but it's not a console. So the thing is that, like, if you wanted the PS5, well, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. Sony and Microsoft got lazy with making games for the PS5 and Series X, right? Like, they have more games available on the Xbox One and PS4 than they do having games specifically made around the PS5 and 6. I'm sorry, the PS5 and Series X. It's really stupid, It's like, okay, if I'm still playing PS4 and Xbox One games, I might as well play the best on the PC with free online, much cheaper on there, and with better controls, because I could use a PlayStation controller, I could use an Xbox controller on whatever game I want on Steam or PC in general, really. So why would I care, So yeah, sorry, getting back to this. What I'm trying to say is that Sony's trying to future-proof their PlayStation brand. That's what I'm saying. And that is putting their games onto the Switch 2, Xbox, and what else? And Steam.
This is like the Nintendo Switch 2, like PC.
Of course, he has to show his Switch 2, guys. He has to show the fact that he bought a Switch 2. All you're showing is that you're a hypocrite, dude. Like, I hate the Switch 2. It's the worst thing ever. But I bought it. Like, okay.
We're going to be focusing more on putting PlayStation games on Xbox, and a lot of people are kind of trying to figure out what this actually means. Is this retro stuff?
That's not me, guys, by the way. It's not me. It's this dude. His frame rates are dropping harder than my brain cells right now watching his crappy video.
This live service stuff. Is this going to be every single game? Is Spider-Man going? Is God of War going to Xbox? And I have to admit that this is an incredibly surprising thing. As a person that not only covers gaming, but has specifically covered PlayStation
you covered
for decades,
Xbox
it's wild to
more so you did PlayStation, but okay.
watch, because historically Sony has had this tactic called the walled garden approach, which is that usually what they like to do is PlayStation is very, very defensive historically about their exclusives. They're like, okay, do you want our stories? Do you want our world? Well, you got to come to our playground and play, right? That's how they've always done it.
So I don't know why you fanboys did not see this coming.
when they're on camera. That's why when you see interviews with like Shuhei Yoshida and stuff, it's always like,
Shoehead,
we're
you
not concerned
shithead.
about our rivals, or we're not
Got him.
really concerned about market conditions. They would always phrase it, instead of saying, we've got better games than Xbox, they're straight up saying now, like, hey, Xbox is an
No, it's
important part
not.
of the market. The Nintendo Switch 2 is an important part of the market, and here is how we're going to reach out to them in the future. Let's take a look at the statement, and I want to take a look at a lot of the reactions, because the internet for the last 12 hours, ever since this job listing got posted, has been debating if this is a good thing, a bad thing, or honestly, the end
It
of
will
PlayStation.
be the end of
Let's talk.
PlayStation soon enough. Just how the Xbox, it is the end of Xbox. Now I know stupid fanboys of Xbox want to pretend that, oh no, Xbox is still going strong. You know, they have the Game Pass, they have their PC side, blah blah blah, when they're ignoring the fact that the Xbox console is separate from all those. They do understand that, right? Or it's connected to the wrong things. Like, they do understand that the Xbox console, which it is not, needs to be successful, which again, it's not. It is a horrible failure of a platform nowadays, and that's because they don't have any good games for the most part. That's not the only reason why, though. That's a long-term reason why they're not. The main reason is because of their recent price increase for the consoles, but it was failing before that. You know why? Because it wasn't a appealing piece of hardware from the get-go. You know? They weren't making games around the Series X like they should have. Like I said, that made me get away from the console, or at least the PS5 and Series X initially. They still make you pay for online. Why didn't they take the high ground and be like, hey, you know what? For you Xbox dudes, you don't got to pay for online. Hell yeah. And that would be a great start of getting more people on your platform, like, for sure. You know? But of course, I guess that's like free revenue, you know, for idiots who are like, they have to make you pay for online, even though that literally no other company makes you do that. Like, it's so dumb. And when I mean company, I mean literally the third-party companies who are making servers for online games. They don't make it. But whatever. Not talking about that. What I'm trying to say is that, yeah, there's other reasons why Xbox is not selling well, and, you know, the exclusives is not exactly one of them, you know, and Game Pass needs to be successful, but how is it going to be successful if they don't have good games, you know what I mean? So they're trying to sell you a console that's not really appealing in terms of price and services, right, which is the main reason why a console does succeed. Hell, even back in the PS2 days, that's the reason why. Again, DVD player, anyone? You know, and then they're trying to sell you a service with no games. Like, that's the main issue with Xbox in a nutshell, and they're suffering for it. Now their next console is debatable on whether it's a console. They're most likely going to give you a PC. They're going to sell you an overpriced piece of crap PC with the Xbox logo attached to it. That's really all. That's all their quote unquote next gen console is going to be. So don't get your hopes up, you know.
Have a great day, and if you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, this is part of why I'm sort of shocked about this. So even yesterday I did a video that essentially Xbox admitted that the only people buying
I'm so
Xbox
happy. The latest Microsoft Flight Simulator is like gonna target a 2025 release. You see what I mean? Like, where's the exciting news on PS5 and Series X, bro? This is why Sony is scared. You know, and this is why Microsoft is failing with the Xbox. It's like, look at this shit. This is like a rumor, you know? There used to be more exciting rumors that happened back in the day, like, Sony and Microsoft might work together on the new console, you know, back in the 360 and PS3 days. Obviously, that didn't happen, but it's a much more interesting rumor than, oh, the latest Flight Simulator. This isn't even a rumor, bro. It's only a matter of time. That's just what will happen, you know? It really is.
at this point are people on PlayStation. The top-selling Xbox game of the year is actually Forza on PS5. Still
No, it's
incredibly
not.
weird to think about, but right now...
Why is that weird to think about? They had it on PC for the longest time, and then like, oh well, but Sony was their main competitor, bro. Sony was beyond their league since the PS4 days, and that's why Microsoft is a failure. Like, no.
Entire parade of stuff getting ready to come out. There's talks that Halo is actually prepped and ready to go on PlayStation. Flight Simulator, Xbox Flight Simulator is coming to PlayStation.
A crappy simulator is coming to a PlayStation? Guys, mark your calendars, man.
This year, incredibly weird to think about, but a lot of people are saying, okay, gaming has changed because Budgets are bigger,
don't have to be
graphics
bigger.
are more expensive, just across
like we already established this. Budgets don't have to be bigger. It's only because of the crappy company, the publisher, whatever it may be, right? Deciding to put realistic graphics instead of like actual, you know, a more appealing art style like they used to do back in the day. Hell, even in the PS3 and 360 days, they used to, you know, conserve the performance a little bit, right? Yeah, there were some games that ran at 30, but there are like a lot of stylized, amazing games that ran at 60 on the 360 and fucking PS3, for God's sakes. Those platforms, that the more time, you know, passed, the more dated they became. But shockingly enough, people have only made better and better experiences throughout their lifetime. And do you know why? Because they prioritized the right stuff, and the games weren't too expensive. The average game at the time took 30 million to make. I searched this shit up back in the day. It took 30 million to make an average PS3 and 360 game at the time. What is the budget now? Like 100 million? 80 million? It's fucking bloated as shit now. Way too much for a, you know, 9th generation game or whatever. It's ridiculous. And why is shit like GTA 6 taking too long? Because again, they're prioritizing graphics instead of gameplay. So yeah, continuing.
Gaming has changed in a way where it's harder to have that walled garden approach. You do have to kind of play nice, because even if you're only getting 5-10% more sales, it's worth it to reach out to people. But here's the thing. Part of the reason I'm surprised about this is that PlayStation has sort of publicly been talking about how they're working on next gen.
PlayStation 6 is on the way. Who cares? Mark Cerny has openly hinted the next generation device. Sony and AMD have multiple times and now confirmed their collaboration on blah blah blah. Sony has pointed out multi-generational approach next gen. The device is reportedly set to get a chip fabrication later this year. It's been in the works potentially since 2022. No, it hasn't. New consoles have always started, actually, as soon as the console that was made before it is done, right? Like, so what I'm trying to say is the PS6 was being worked on after the PS5 was done. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that they started manufacturing, duh. I'm just saying like they're, you know, in the planning stages already. That's technically in the process of making the PS6. So yeah, not to mention that, again, did people forget that Sony literally fucking said that they were going to make the PS6 in 2027? Like, it was going to release in 2027 back in 2020. Did people forget that? Seriously, I feel like I was in a parallel universe where people haven't heard of that. Weird. Or they hinted at it,
It's
sorry.
very much full steam ahead on PlayStation 6. They've actually even said publicly, they like released a statement saying our full goal right now, our entire focus is basically prepping things for the PlayStation 6, which apparently is coming out roughly around 2027, 2028. But it sounds like Xbox is doing the same. They're currently trying to get ready for some sort of next-gen console.
Bother releasing it. Yeah, I do mean games as in, no, don't just purposely keep games away from the PS5. I know they're not going to do that. Bro, they kept games on fucking PS4 that should have been on PS5 only, or made around the PS5. That's what I mean. No, I want games to be made around the PS6 and the amazing hardware that you claim it's going to have. That's what I want. I don't just want, oh no, I want the PS6 to only have this game so I can feel more validated in buying it. I don't give a fuck about feeling validated buying something. You need to show me why it's worth buying it. And god damn it, the PS5 and Series X, I would argue they're still not worth it. Like, it's just so bad.
But what they do is instead, okay, we've got our games, you've got your games, but every year, stuff jumps platform. Say 2027. Let's say 2027, a big batch of PlayStation 6 games come out. Maybe late 2028, we see all those games start going to next-gen Xbox and vice versa, right? I still feel like even then, I feel like this job listing conveys more than that. A lot of people are trying to say it's probably just live service games.
Oh
because
my god,
we know for
how
fact
much
there
in
is a lot of live
denial
service
do
games.
people have to be? Dude, Sony has already put their fucking games on PC that were not live service games. Like, no, it's going to be a shorter and shorter release window from PlayStation to other platforms, dude. They're trying to like keep the PlayStation brand alive by name, not really by the platform only. Like, they don't give a shit if the PS6 does, or like, about PS6 sales, you know what I mean? Only. They don't only care about PS6 sales. They care about software sales. And you motherfuckers on PlayStation have not been giving them that. So they have been increasing it onto other platforms. They have been releasing it on other platforms. I mean, hell, the fact that they released Helldivers 2 on the Xbox is very, very telling. That's crazy.
Already, this is a PlayStation Studios game. This right here, Marathon, is a PlayStation Studios game. This is the official Xbox store. So there is already some PlayStation Studios first-party stuff on Xbox, but the listing to me, it makes it sound like it's more than that. According to a job listing at Sony, their goal is to expand PlayStation Studio titles across Steam, Xbox, and Nintendo. Mobile. And a lot of people are going, okay, what does this actually mean? You will play a critical role in this job to shape and execute the global commercial strategy for PlayStation Studios across all digital platforms, meaning PlayStation hardware, including Steam, Epic Games, Nintendo, Xbox, and mobile. Now, a lot of people are trying to sort of figure out what this means. This is Nib. I'm a big fan of Nib on Twitter.
Mean?
A lot of people
what
like to
does that mean?
He talks a lot.
It fucking means that they're gonna release games on other platforms. You fucking morons! Like, what do you mean? What does that mean? Sony is making job listings to make games for other platforms? What could this mean? I wish we had Indiana Jones, man. He could decipher this shit. Like, bruh. It means they're gonna make games on other platforms. And good. There are some games that like, on the PlayStation that should be on other platforms. Like, really. Their games are not even that good anymore. Like, it's really not. This isn't the PS3 days where, you know, there was a reason why those games on the PS3, like those PS3 exclusives, like Uncharted, what was that other game? Infamous 1 and 2, you know. Like, there was a reason why those games were only on the PS3. Now, obviously, it was because Sony wanted to sell the PS3, but that's not the only reason why. It's because the PS3's hardware was very specific, but when you took advantage of it, oh my god, man, the graphics were amazing. The games could have been very complex and great, you know? Like you could have both gameplay and graphics when it came to the PS3, bro, when you made a game correctly on there, because its architecture was very unique, very hard to work with, but when they did make that game, it was amazing. It was great on the PS3. But you, like, no matter what wizardry you had, you cannot put those games, those amazing PS3 titles, on the 360 or the Nintendo Wii. You just couldn't, unless you made sacrifices. It's really that simple. It really is that simple. So that's the problem with like that whole thing. Like the PS3, there's a reason why it had exclusives. The Xbox 360, there was a reason why it had exclusives. Like, again, even if, say, Halo was able to be put on the PS3 and Wii, the PS3 and Wii did not have the amazing online capabilities that the 360 did. So why the fuck would you play those games on those consoles anyways? When really you had Xbox Live at the time, which offered amazing modern online experiences that just couldn't be replicated on the Wii or PS3. I mean, it could have, but they didn't do it. You know, Sony and Nintendo didn't do that for some reason. So the Xbox is literally the only console where you could have had that, and that's why it succeeded on its own as well as the PS3 later down the line. And, you know, like, and let's not forget the failure that Sony and Microsoft tried to replicate with the Wii's motion controlling, right? Like, the Wii was the only one that did it right as well. So those consoles had stuff to offer on their own and couldn't be really replicated on another device or another console, really, for the most part, right? But now there's no point in keeping games only on one platform anymore. There's no point of keeping God of War on the PlayStation consoles. Finally, it's on PC, but it's like, I can't wait to see on Xbox too, because it deserves to be on more platforms. You know? Even though I hate the Switch too, I don't mind seeing PlayStation games come to it. It deserves to. Right? I don't like the Switch 2 at all. I think it's a shit console, but you know what? It deserves more games that Sony held hostage, whether it's their own or not, by the way. Ridiculous. You know, it's ridiculous.
About basically loving PlayStation. I feel like I don't really count this as a fanboy account personally. Maybe there's some tweets I haven't seen, but he always just seems like he very much just loves PlayStation. It doesn't feel like he's trying to defend PlayStation. But again, maybe there's some like goofiness I haven't seen. But he says like this: A job listing at Sony seeks the role of trying to expand things to Steam, Epic, Xbox, and Nintendo. There's no mention of this being limited to live service games. It does imply a staggered, not fully multi-platform day-and-date release like Xbox. Oversee the out-of-year, mid-range commercial strategy for PlayStation studios and non-PlayStation platforms. So, to me, this does kind of make sense. I have to admit, it's still wild to even consider this, but to me, I think what PlayStation is trying to do, games are just getting so expensive. Let's throw out a hypothetical. There's talks that next year we're getting some sort of new Spider-Man game called Venom. There's
yeah, us
a new
PC dudes
Insomniac
don't
Spider-Man
need that because we
already
actually have a mod where you can play as Venom, bitch.
done. Apparently, Tony Todd recorded a bunch of lines for it before he passed away. Rest in peace. Huge Tony Todd
Thank
fan.
you, Dreamcast guy. I really needed to know that. You know, I didn't like Tony Todd. I didn't like that piece of shit, you know? Until Dreamcast guy liked him, right? Like, I was like, you know what? Fuck Tony Todd. I hope the devil, you know, fucks him with a pitchfork, right? Like, I fucking hated Tony Todd until Dreamcast guy, this fucking saint over here, this beautiful bastard over here, like Tony Todd. Thank you for telling me that, Dreamcast guy. Now I feel validated in loving Tony Todd. I want to kiss you on your fucking forehead. Take that stupid hat off, bro. I want to kiss you on your adorable forehead. Come here.
I'm super excited about it. There's actually leaks and stuff about it, but let's just say hypothetically. Okay, Venom game comes out 2026. It's fantastic. Everything's great. And then everybody's loving it. It sells, I don't know, 7 million units, right? I think that's a good guess for what it's probably going to sell. Okay, sells 7 million units. And then they go, okay, we made back $300 million of the $300 million budget. We've broken even. Now let's put it on Steam. Okay, there's an EV extra 7
They make a lot of money putting
Xbox.
games on PC. That's for damn sure. And, like, they could just do that for Sony. Or, I'm sorry, for the Xbox and Nintendo. It's easy pickings, man. It's just extra money that they can make much easier. Now, excuse me. So admittedly for Nintendo, this might be a little bit tricky because it's not exactly as easy as putting a PS5 or probably even a PS4 game onto the Switch 2 as it would be the Series X or Xbox One. It's not that simple, unfortunately, because Nintendo uses a different architecture. Like, they're using NVIDIA, I believe. I think for the Switch 2 they are. They're using like a NVIDIA chip, and the PlayStation is using AMD. So because like PlayStation uses a custom AMD that works more in tandem with Xbox's AMD console as well, by the way. Right? So like it works better with Microsoft's console that has the same architecture, maybe not the same parts exactly, but it still has the same architecture, which makes it a lot more simple. For the Switch 2, you know, maybe not as simple, but they still want to put on the Switch 2 for longevity reasons. And yeah, and like, let's just be honest here, Sony is not going to fucking make a portable any goddamn time soon, obviously. So it's like, why not put it on a portable? Why not make it on the Switch? I mean, technically, us on PC, we have PlayStation games on a portable, you know, obviously. But, you know, when it comes to consoles, though, you know, like, there are a lot of people that have a PS5 and a Switch. You know what I mean? Imagine if you could play some of the PlayStation games on a Nintendo Switch. You know, that would have gotten a lot of people to play more PlayStation games, man. For sure. You know? So, hey, I think that'd be a good idea to put their games on Switch 2 regardless. I still think that the Switch 2 is going to sell significantly less than the Switch 1, but it's still free money. It really is. And again, Sony does not have a portable market, so appealing to a mainstream portable market like Nintendo's is a much better idea. You know? Obviously, they're not going to make the Vita 2, so shit, why not put on the Switch 2? Put their games on the Switch 2. Yeah.
Even if they only make a couple million, I wonder if they're just doing that napkin math and saying, okay, that's more profitability, and I guess what their strategy is something I feel like Xbox...
Got him. Frame rate drop guy. Yes, obviously they're doing it because it is free money. I wonder if they're doing it for that. Yeah, you really? Really? Wow, you got a fucking detective over here.
Xbox has toyed with but been less successful with, which is, okay, here's our platform, here's our exclusives, now you want to come play with us, right? It seems like what Xbox's original idea was is, okay, if we give you some of these games, if you play the Gears of War Remake Collection, that's coming out here at the end of August, right? Okay, you're going to want that. Now, whenever Gears of War E-Day gets a release date on Xbox only,
oh my god, is this another
okay,
like schizo babble about like, maybe Sony's doing this to get people on the PS6, because with the PS6, they're going to have their newer games on there. Shut up. You guys said that about like, that's how they're going to get PC guys over to the PS5. They're going to give them like the first ones, they're going to give them the first Spider-Man, and then the PC guys are going to want Spider-Man 2 after that amazing experience. No, it didn't happen. It never will happen. And like, the people on Xbox are going to stay on Xbox. Then the people on Nintendo are going to stay on Nintendo. And people on PlayStation are going to stay on PlayStation. Yo, so like, stop being stupid. This whole plan of like, Xbox, they're trying to put like Gears of War, that whole the remaster on PlayStation because they're trying to get them to buy an Xbox for E-Day. It's not going to happen. That's not a thing. It's not going to be a thing. So yeah, so everyone just shut up and release your games on every platform, day and date. That's how it should be.
Xbox, do I want to upgrade my PC so I can play that on PC Game Pass? That seems like what Xbox's goal has been, but it hasn't really been successful. So I guess my thought is, will PlayStation be able to do it?
No,
when Xbox couldn't?
They tried that with the PC crowd and it didn't work. Hell, they even tried to implement PSN with the Steam and PC crowd. That didn't work out either.
Here's an awesome Spider-Man game. Here's an awesome God of War game. Here's an awesome, Crash Bandicoot remake, something, right? I guess that's not exclusive anymore. But my point is that I wonder if this is still an attempt to try and coax the last Xbox gamers over to PlayStation.
Why would they want that?
Does sort of seem.
Why would they want those Xbox peasants to come to their platform instead of just putting their games on Xbox? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. And the Xbox dudes, really, they could have went to PlayStation a long time ago if they were willing to, but they're not. It's not going to happen. Oh my god. Like, what is this schizo babble that he's going on about, man? Him and the rest of the fanboys.
Now, some people are doing these super long threads trying to explain where it's not actually exclusives, that it's technically just certain games. But one of the things they talk about here is it does make it seem like we could get some stuff. The reason this still seems crazy to me is because I grew up during the 80s and 90s console wars, right? I mean, I grew up during a time where you could not even imagine getting Mario on the Sega Genesis or getting Sonic on the Super Nintendo, right? It's difficult to even imagine. It seems so impossibly preposterous.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thought is that, like, I also had that same thing, like that same thought process when it came to the Wii, 360, and PS3 days as well. He didn't even have to go back all the way, in the 80s or 90s, bro. Even back in like 2006 through 2014, like for a while actually. Just recently, this whole thing is like, oh, everyone is gonna put their games everywhere now. It's crazy. Yeah, it really is weird to think about, isn't it? Like back in the 7th generation, I'm like, yeah, that shit's never gonna happen. They're never gonna put games on their platforms, But it's like, it's a good thing that this is happening now because, again, their games, A, are shit anyways, so it's like, they're not even worth keeping on a console, and B, the game does not benefit from it, unlike the 7th generation, right? Unlike the 7th generation, these games don't benefit from staying on those garbage platforms. So, yeah, sucks to suck.
Possible. It was unfathomable. So now, seeing that today, I'm used to already the idea of seeing something like Master Chief coming to PlayStation. It's still really weird, but I think it'll be even more odd for me to see something like Uncharted. There's the Uncharted collection, right? Uncharted is fantastic. Uncharted is 10 out of 10 great. Love, love, love it. If they put Uncharted onto the Xbox, obviously people are going to love it there, but it also just feels odd. It just feels like, in a way, the end of PlayStation, because I have very much, in a way, so much identified PlayStation with that walled garden.
Well, get over it, because now Sony even realizes that, like, oh yeah, other platforms equals free money. And they would, what the funny part is? They would have made even more money if they put those games on the Xbox, PC, and even find a way to make it for Nintendo day one. They would have made even more money. That's the funny part.
if this ends up being not just back catalog, but retro stuff. It does seem like Xbox has way better backwards compatibility. When you have an Xbox Series X, it plays Xbox 360 games, it plays Xbox One games, it plays original Xbox games, right? It seems like they're more inclined to like that older stuff. It would be interesting if we start to see, what if we saw ports for those back catalog games we have PlayStation Plus Premium? What if they start putting PS1 and PS2 games on there as well?
Because those games were the only ones that were actually worth a damn for PlayStation. PS1, 2, and 3. Sorry. Right. Oh, and PSP. Shit. Oh my god. Yeah, PSP as well. For show. And I would say Vita, but Vita was a good port machine. It wasn't exactly like it didn't have its own games, right? Like, yeah. I mean, it did. Like it did have its own Uncharted game. It did, I guess, have its own Call of Duty game, but they weren't very good, or they were worse than the console parts anyways, than the console versions anyways. So I don't know, who knows. Anyways, guys, I think I'm gonna end it here. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and do all that good stuff. I will be trying to make content daily, slop news, reactions to people's videos, and actual videos as well, like more edited videos as well. So, yep, have a good one. Don't attack other people when they're eating their garden. Bye.